What's up, my comic comrades? We've been covering Josh Williamson's Superman run for a while, and it has been excellent, especially since All In started last year. But with DC announcing their KO event that kicks off in October, it seems even more important to keep up with, as everything they've been doing with the Man of Steel across his various titles will likely be a big focus. So today we're going to get caught up on the Superman title with issues 25 through 28. But in these recent issues, we see Superman fight a powerful Lex clone, continue to deal with Doomsday, and lean into the Legions of Darkseid story, where Superman will inevitably come face to face with Darkseid for the first time since the DC All-In special. With that said, let's get into it. Issue 25 starts off some time ago with Lex looking at cute cartoons of himself and Superman meant to introduce the world to Supercorp and how it's going to change Metropolis for the better. Lex then tells Mercy that the video is too cute. She tells him, "Boss, the focus group loved it. They felt this is a great way to get people to trust you. It humanizes you." Lex then says, "Remind me to poison the focus group." Within moments, Superman will learn what I did to conceal his secret identity. Then he will hear my watch. He will fight me, I will lose, and be locked up in Strikers. And stage 1 will be complete. Stage 2, we activate Supercorp. While I'm in prison, Superman will be forced to work with me. We will defeat my old enemies together, and we'll do it so well that the Big Blue Boy Scout will finally believe in me. So if you've been reading the Superman title from issue 1, you know everything Lex just said has already transpired throughout the series. We're just finally getting to see Lex setting it all in place before it went down. But since then, because remember that was some time ago, Lex has lost his memory and Mercy is now running Supercorp. And since Lex lost his memory and is no longer wanting to follow his old ways, she unleashed a Lex Luthor superclone that even Lex said to never unleash. But she did it anyway, bringing us to the present where Superman is being immobilized by kryptonite Mercy took from Metallo, while the evil Lex clone emerges from his stasis. Lena then says, "What have you done, Mercy? That's not my dad." Mercy responds, "But it could be. Your father called it XL. He rejected XL before it could become his greatest weapon." But over the past few months, I've inputted what we've learned at Supercorp, our studies on Superman, Superwoman, Doomsday, Parasite, even you, Lena. At first, I thought I would only use it to access Mr. Luthor's old memories trapped inside, but now XL can be the Lex we need, the Lex that saves Metropolis. And as this Lex clone comes out wearing a black Superman suit that looks just like Superman's old recovery suit when he came back to life, he says, "This is unexpected." Mercy responds, "Events have transpired that forced me to wake you up, sir. What is the last thing you remember?" He says, "I remember Superman, my hatred of him. He stole the love of Metropolis from me, but I can feel more." He then looks over and sees his daughter Lena and says, "What are you doing here?" She says, "Dad, I work here now." He then looks over at Superman and Lois and asks, "Is that Lois Lane in a costume?" Mercy explained. She says, "We attempted your plan to work with them, but they turned on us." He replies, "Of course they did. We could never trust Superman or Lois. And now with this new body, I can punish them." We then get a flashback from days earlier with the real Lex who has lost his memories, and he tells Mercy that he feels at peace now. And she's like, "What about everything we built? What about our plan?" He's like, "We don't need it. We can leave Metropolis together. Forget about Superman." But she's like, "I still believe in you, in the real you." He says, "This is me, Mercy. That evil man you knew is gone forever," as she hugs him, saddened. Then back in the present, we see XL lift Superman up with one arm as Supes is currently weakened by kryptonite, with Lex saying, "And now I could show off what my genius has created, how I was built to kill Superman." This Superwoman is just a bonus, as he throws Superman into Superwoman. Elsewhere at Strikers Island Penitentiary, Lex is being incarcerated and gets an alert that something is wrong. But of course, the guards and warden do not care. But it's not up to them, because at this point, Marilyn Moonlight comes busting into the penitentiary saying, "Your time has come, Luthor. You could only hide for so long. The spirit of Metropolis is ready to bring you to true justice." If you're not aware, Marilyn is indeed the spirit of Metropolis, who only comes out when the moon is up and when Metropolis is in danger. She was introduced in issue 2 of this Superman series. Lex is all like, "I know you and I have unfinished business, Marilyn, but this spirit that guides you, it has brought you to me for a reason. It protects the city, and I can help you both do that. After that, you can have as much revenge as you need." She replies, "What exactly do you want, Luthor?" And he says, "A ride." We're then brought back to XL, who's beating the crap out of Superman and Superwoman. XL says, "The power infused in this body worked, Mercy. It's remarkable." She says, "It was your genius, sir. I merely updated it." Superman then gets back up saying, "You're strong, but it's the kryptonite that gives you an advantage." Superwoman, "Get up. We need to fly away. So that's exactly what they do, but XL follows them because he too can fly. But it's at this point the real Luthor arrives with Marilyn Moonlight. XL says, "This must be the so-called real me. You grew a beard and you lost your mind. And you brought a friend. Long time, Marilyn." The real Luthor says, "Stand down, XL. You might think you're Luthor, but you're not. I don't know how you got free, but I'm putting you back." XL tells him Mercy did the deed, clearly because we've lost our way. Lex tells him that Mercy and I will be having a little chat as he activates his classic purple and green armor, charging towards XL. Once the two Lexes collide, we see XL say, "It hurts. What's happening to me? Me feel great." As we see his face start to crack, the real Lex then tells him, "You were made by the same technology I used to create my Bizarro. And just as he was flawed and broken, so are you. And until I can crack the code, it wasn't safe. But I can help you," as he reaches his hand out. But XL is not about that and grabs the real Lex by the face and throws him down into a building. XL then looks down at Metropolis saying, "My home. For years you rejected me, embraced an alien, an outsider. If I can't have you, no one can. Then the world will know I am the one true Lex Luthor." But at this point, Superman and Superwoman have healed up enough to come flying in saying, "Good thing we have a history of stopping Lex Luthor. Ready, honey?" Lois says, "Oh yeah, I've always wanted to do this." But even after this attack and being frozen by Superman's frost breath, XL escapes and headbutts Superman, disorienting him long enough for XL to grab Lois. XL then comes onto her saying, "Maybe it's time we finally stop pretending and admit we are the power couple Metropolis needs." She pushes him away saying, "This isn't you, Lex." He says, "You never knew me, Lois. Not really. Now you get to watch as I do all the things I should have done years ago. Nothing is holding me back. After I kill you and your husband, I'll kill your family. Kill that boy of yours." This obviously pisses her off, saying, "Like hell you will. No one threatens my family," as she unleashes a burst of energy so powerful it nearly destroys XL and sends her plummeting to the streets below. But XL gets back up saying, "This isn't over. I will never stop showing the world that it needs me." The real Luthor then comes over with XL saying, "You are not Lex Luthor." But the real Lex Luthor says, "But I am," as he uses a cannon on his armor to blow off XL's head. With Superman screaming, "Luthor, no!" as Lena also says, "Dad?" with Mercy watching over video footage saying, "Welcome back." Superman then flies over to Lex asking, "What did you do, Luthor? Answer me." Lex tells him, "What you couldn't. The right thing. That's what I do every damn day." Superman says, "You killed him." Lex tells him, "XL would have killed me, my daughter, you, your wife, and every single person in Metropolis. He was broken and never going to stop. You might be the Man of Steel, but you are not the Man of Tomorrow. I am." Superman then just looks at him saying, "I'm not done with you." Superwoman, check on Supercorp and Mercy. I'll meet you there after I get Luthor to Strikers. But Lois replies, "Superman, I can't. My powers are gone." And with that, we're moving on to issue 26. But I will say, if you're a parent, you also know the feeling of being drained of power. It's basically a full-time job on top of your full-time job. I mean, being a dad is the best job in the world, but it can be a lift schedule-wise. Between school drop-offs, keeping them active outside of school, the cranky meltdowns, and of course, the mystery fevers and colds at the worst possible times. So having to schedule a doctor's appointment is the last thing you want to do, especially because when you have to, 1 minute you're searching, the next you're trapped in a black hole of phone calls, outdated websites, and endless wait lists. That's where ZocDoc, today's sponsor, comes in like a hero. ZocDoc is a totally free, revolutionary healthcare website that connects patients with top-rated doctors in their area. I mean, have you ever struggled to find a doctor who accepts your insurance or isn't accepting new patients? Or felt overwhelmed while having to choose from a random list? Well, ZocDoc makes it easy to search and compare doctors based on what you need. From mental health to dentistry, eye care, skin care, and everything in between, ZocDoc makes it easy to book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers. Because you could filter for doctors by insurance, location, and specialties, and see reviews by verified patients so you could choose the best doctor for you and your family. ZocDoc also helps you get appointments fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking, and that includes same-day appointments. The point is, whether you're a parent juggling a million things or just trying to take care of yourself, ZocDoc can help you take one big stress off your plate. So stop putting off those doctor appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/variant or click our link in the description to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. Big thanks once again to ZocDoc for sponsoring. Now back to Superman. Issue 26 starts off with Superman breaking into Lex's cell in a full-on rage, screaming, "Luthor, what have you done?" Before a panel says Strikers Island Penitentiary earlier that day, as the comic proceeds to show us how we got to this point. We see earlier in the day, Luthor was visited by his daughter Lena. He essentially tells her, "Lena, I understand that you're upset, but listen to me. I had no idea what Mercy was planning. beginning. I would never hurt you. She says, you gave me to Brainiac when I was a baby, and then you got me back and you left me on an island with your hateful mother and acted like I didn't exist. He says, to protect you. She replies, to protect you. It's always about you, what you want, always. The last few weeks I thought for once we could be happy together. But even then I wasn't thinking about my happiness. I was thinking about yours and you ruined it. The guard then comes in saying, visiting hours are over, Luthor, as Lex says, let us have more time. But Lena tells him, you've already had enough of my time. We're then brought to the Justice League Unlimited Watchtower where we see the Atom and Mr. Terrific going over Lois's body saying why she lost her superpowers. In short, they say your powers are indeed gone. It appears the power cells in your system are completely drained and yellow sunlight is not recharging them. And since we don't know where they came from in the first place, we have no idea if the powers went back to their owner or are completely gone. This isn't to say they can't return. We need to run more tests. But Lois just gets up saying, test? No thank you, Michael. Now, could I hitch a ride on the boom tube to Metropolis? Superman, of course, goes after her, being like, where are you going? She says, the Daily Planet. I have to do work. Superman is all like, but we could figure this out. And she tells him, I have stories to head, a paper to get out. Superwoman was fun while it lasted, but I didn't need it. I love the life I had before the powers, and I love it now, powers or no powers. And after what happened to Jimmy, I was considering hanging up the cape anyway. At least this way, I lost the power saving the city I love. Trust me. As she goes through the boom tube back to the Daily Planet. We then get an interlude of General Zod being attacked by Cuds in his ship. Now, the reason why we're getting this interlude and why General Zod is important is because we know from previous issues, Lois Lane got her powers from Zod. That's whose powers she unknowingly took during the Absolute Power event with Waller, where everyone lost their powers and then got them back, but some people got other people's powers, like Lois getting Zod's. Anyway, we're then taken back to Supercorp, where Mercy is trying to get Lena to work with her and be her right hand. But Lena is like, are you crazy? You lied to me and you lied to everyone. Why the hell would I stay here working for you? Do you think I'd work for you after what you did? I trusted you. Superman then arrives saying, we all did, never again. We see Superman there saying, I don't care how good your lawyers are, your access to the Watchtower is denied. Mr. Terrific has terminated any tech connected to the Justice League. Supercorp is over, Mercy. She replies, are you sure about that, Superman? Think about all the good we've done together. So what if we had our first fight? That's healthy. All the best working relationships have a little conflict. It helps them thrive. But Superman's like, we have no relationship. I'm shutting you down. She tells him the only person who could stop Supercorp is Mr. Luthor. You'll have to speak to him. And I highly doubt he's going to see things your way. As we see, Lena stole one of Supercorp's bikes, with Superman telling Mercy, I think she gave you her answer. We're then brought to another interlude where we're taken to the end of time as we see the Darkseid-possessed Legion of Heroes trapping Time Trapper, aka Doomsday. We see Lightning Lad bring him to the brink of death as Saturn Girl says, his Superman is fascinating. He's so different from the one where we came from. Hurt him more. His mind's defenses are cracking, and I want to know why Lord Darkseid sees anyone with that much compassion as a threat. It's at this point Superman goes to visit Lex at his cell, and Superman says to him, this will be short. Do you have any other tricks up your sleeve I should know about? Any other dangerous clones of yourself with powers? Lex says, yes, I built XL to be used as a weapon, but I knew it was too dangerous and never used it. That should count for something. Superman says, you killed him. Lex replies, to save Metropolis. Lois understood. That's why she sacrificed herself, right? How is Lois doing, by the way? Post-Superwoman, that is. Listen to me, Superman. I want us to work together again, to be a team. Superman is like, you're staying in prison. This will be the last time we speak. But Lex says, hold on, let me prove you need me. I can give Lois her powers back. I know how to do it. It wouldn't be hard. Superman says, I don't trust you. But Lex tells him, then think of Lois, what your wife must be feeling right now, to be so close to greatness, all that power. She could fly by your side, know what it felt like to be you. But it wasn't just about the power for her, was it? She knew she could truly make a difference in the world instead of reporting on it. To have that life yanked away, what does that do to a person, to a marriage? I can help. I want to help. What if she begins to resent you? This uncharacteristically enrages Superman with his eyes glowing red as he says, I don't need marriage counseling from you, showing us why Superman was so pissed off at the beginning of the issue. As he continues to get madder and madder, Lex says, no need to get this angry, Superman. I only wanted to help. Superman then says, something is wrong. Something triggered the red kryptonite, but this time it's different. What did you do to me? As Superman explodes with red energy and rage, telling Lex to run while also asking, what did you do, Luthor? At this point, all the guards at the penitentiary try to stop Superman, but obviously that's not gonna work because it's Superman. As we see Lex run over to Farm and Graft, villains from earlier on in the series. He tells them, you caused this. Your red K turned Superman into a ticking time bomb, but now you're going to help me find a cure to save him. They're all like, good to see you again, our game continues. I must say, my dear brother and I are intrigued, but of course, what's in it for us? Lex tells them, after we save him, I promise you the three of us will fight to the death. We're then taken back to Superman, who's in full-on berserker mode as he says, terrific, I need help at Strikers. The red kryptonite poisoning is draining my powers. I feel like I might explode. I need you to, but before he could finish this sentence, Marilyn Moonlight shows up saying, Metropolis calls me to you again. Metropolis must be saved from you, Superman. And with that, we jump to issue 27. Issue 27 picks up with Lois at the Daily Planet, clearly frustrated. She's back to reporting and not fighting crime as Superwoman, telling herself, okay, Lois, you can do this. Just edit. At this point, Jimmy walks in saying, I remember hearing Mr. White talk to himself late at night. He was usually complaining about all your typos, or Clark, or me, but mostly you. She then jumps up with excitement, hugging Jimmy, saying, I'm just happy to see you. I'm sorry I didn't visit you in the hospital. He tells her, it's okay, I know how busy it's been here. And the doctor said, my hands will have a few scars, but I should be back snapping pictures for you in no time. We also see that Jimmy's girlfriend, Silver Banshee, is with him, but their talk is broken up when one of Lois's reporters, Erica, comes in saying, boss, can I use the helicopter to get the Strikers? Lois asks, for what, Erica? She says, my contact gave me a heads up that there's been a big prison break. We're then taken back to where the end of issue 26 left off with Superman and Marilyn Moonlight. She says, stay down, Superman, I must protect Metropolis, and right now, you're in my crosshairs. He says, Marilyn, stop, don't fight me. She tells him, I'm sorry, Superman, but I know a wild animal when I see one. He tells her, drop your guns and just listen. It's the red kryptonite in my system. I could feel myself regaining some control. Instead of shooting me, follow me. She does as they go to Farman Graff's cell, but they're gone, and so is Lex. Marilyn then points her guns at Superman, saying, I'll deal with them next. I'm the spirit of Metropolis cursed to protect it when danger looms in the moonlight. And right now, you are the danger. Superman again says, listen to me. I think Luthor is manipulating you. It can't be a coincidence you were drawn to Strikers now. I suspect he controls where you go. I can't prove it yet, but you have to trust me. If you really want to stop me, we need to find Lex Luthor. Back at Supercorp, we see Lex sneak up on Mercy. She then points her arm cannon at him, saying, I had to see you. She asks, so you came to kill me, Lex? He says, no, Mercy, of course not. I know why you did what you did. You just wanted things back the way they were, but that's never going to happen. I have all my memories, but I came to give you a choice. You can have Supercorp, it's yours, or you can come with me. We then see Superman with Marilyn Moonlight following him as they look for Lex. They don't find him, but they find Farm and Graff in a giant mech from Supercorp. As Farm and Graff say from the mech speaker, Luthor, you promised us a fight to the death. Marilyn then asks Superman, they want to fight Lex? He tells her, hold on, I've seen this before. It's made from the same nanotech that was used to create the S on top of Supercorp. Marilyn asks, how do we stop it? Superman responds, we fight our way inside that thing and find out. We see Lex then talk out to Superman saying, I know you could hear me, and Superman does while responding, Luthor, where are you, you coward? He tells him, Farm and Graft and I made a deal. If they agreed to cure you, I would free them. Of course they lied, they had no cure, but I did. I always did. I sent it to you. You've proven to me that you're smarter than you act, Superman. Let's not pretend you haven't figured it out. As Superman says, you planned this. All of this was a ruse for you to escape. Lex tells him, correct. I triggered your red K. I sent Marilyn after you. I freed Farm and Graff. Made a distraction. Superman asks, where are you going? Lex says, if you want to beat this nanobot armor, you will need to use something made from the same material. When I started this plan, it was to get you to trust me. That was my original plan. It was. But as we worked together, I saw the lie I had carefully crafted become the truth. We were a good team. Metropolis and the world were better with us working side by side. But I can't escape who I was. I need to find out who I am now. And that means leaving Metropolis. But before I left, I had to be sure to say goodbye. And all this is happening as Superman picks up the gigantic S from on top of Supercorp to throw it into Farm and Graff's neck, defeating it as they said that Superman needs to get the same material the mech is made of to defeat it. After Superman takes down the mech, he tells Marilyn, do it. Shoot me now. She says, if you insist. And as she shoots him with her moonlight, he says, this is what Lex wanted. He sent you after me. Your moonlight powers. Cure me. As we see Superman finally cured from the red K kryptonite that made him rage all the time. Marilyn says to herself and me, Metropolis was saved. The sun is up, but I'm still here and I'm free. Superman just flies off to Supercorp asking Mercy, where is Lex Luthor? She says, I thought Lex cured you of your rage from the red K. He says, this anger is all me. Where did he go, Mercy? She says, I don't know. He asked me to go with him, but where he goes now, I can't follow. I have no idea where Luthor is. Superman says, if you're lying, she interrupts, your super hearing tells you I'm not, right? She She says, "Go home, Superman. Just know you might be upset with me today, but you need me. And because of what Mr. Luthor taught me, I will always be here to help you." On the next page, we see sometime after this, Superman, or Clark specifically, flying with Lois as he says, "Look, about your Superwoman powers." She then interrupts saying, "I'm not going to say I didn't love it, that I won't miss it, but I'm okay not being Superwoman anymore. I've been Lois Lane my whole life, and trust me when I say I like it." He then asks, "But honey, are you okay with me not being Superwoman? I was worried I'd let you down." He says, "I loved you since the day I met you, and you didn't have powers that day. But if you ever want to fly again, I know a guy." She says, "Look, LexCorp is back." Superman then tries to hear around the world if he could hear where Lex is. But he says, "I can't hear Lex. But the moment I do, I'm taking him down." As we see, he's somewhere in an extreme cold environment. The epilogue of the book then takes us to Time Trapper, who is still being held captive by the Darkseid-possessed Legion of Superheroes. We also see they captured Booster Gold, who apparently, as they say, is the most important person in time and space. But on the last page of the issue, Time Trapper, or Doomsday, is able to finally break free and says, "You might have stolen the future, but just as I am immortal, so is this fight. Must find the World Forger." The Legion is like, "Crap, do we go after him?" Saturn Girl says, "Let him run. We know where he'll end up eventually. Time we met Superman." And with that, we go into issue 28. So issue 27 is the end of the Superman Red story arc, but issue 28 is the first part of the Legion of Darkseid story arc. And on the first page of the issue, we see the Legion talking about Superman, saying, "Superman, man of tomorrow, the greatest superhero of all time," and poses as this Clark Kent guy. What's he hiding? Another one of the Legion members say, "Don't be fooled. He must use that persona to trick his enemies into a false sense of security. It would be a mistake to underestimate him." Another Legionnaire says, "Why? Because he has powers? Big whoop. We got powers too. Lots of them." The other Legion member responds, "It's more than that. On this world, he inspires people to follow him. His influence spreads far into the future to other worlds. They see him and they hope to be like him, to be better." And the last Legionnaire says, "It's like he's the epicenter of everything our master hates. I guess we should thank him. Now we know who to take out first." We then get a double-page spread of Superman flying back to his home in Smallville. After this, we see him in his old room sitting on his bed with a Mighty Crabjoy poster in the background. That's right, the Mighty Crabjoys from the Superman movie made it into the Superman comic, making them canon to Superman's origin. This is just all kinds of amazing. In any case, Superman is sitting on his bed holding his old Legion of Superheroes ring. His mom eventually comes in saying, "You just came to get that ring that team gave you?" He tells her, "The Legion was more than a team. Pete and Lana were great friends growing up in Smallville, but I could never truly be 100% myself with them. They gave me hope for the future. They told me what I did mattered." His mom then sits beside him on the bed saying, "Clark, you wouldn't come home to just reminisce about old times." He tells her, "It was Lana and John Henry's wedding, that creature that attacked during the storm. He's called the Validus, an enemy of the Legion from the future. Validus is one of the Legion's most powerful and deadly enemies. Yet he was scared, running from something. I'm worried about my friends. Ma, I need to travel to them to make sure they're okay." She says, "And what's stopping you?" You know, this sounds a little bit like a high school reunion. I remember when I went to mine. I was so nervous. Not sure how much I changed, how much my old friends had changed, but we had a blast." Clark says, "No, it's just, the last time I saw them, the Legion was different and the future is constantly changing. It just feels like tomorrow is so uncertain." She then tells him, "Remember, Clark, the future is never a guarantee. It's earned. If you call these kids your friends, they must be really special. You're going to see them and it's going to be as if not a day has passed." He then says, "Thanks, Ma, love you," as he kisses her on the cheek with her saying, "Love you too." He then takes off with the ring to travel to his friends from the Legion, but before he can, Saturn Girl arrives. At first he's happy saying, "Imra?" As she replies, "No one has called me that name since I threw my parents into the murder pits of Metropolis. Interesting. You have strong mental barriers. You've been trained. I'm here to understand why Darkseid sees you as a threat." Superman then realizes there's something wrong with his friend, saying, "Darkseid?" She says, "Oh, that got you. I could sense your synapses firing as you figure it out." Superman asks, "Who are you?" She replies, "I am exactly who you think I am. Saturn Girl from the Moon Titan, from the 31st century. I could see in your mind. You're close. But I don't think I would say corrupted by. Perhaps inspired by. You're right to wonder where the rest of the Legion is. Cosmic Boy and Lightning Lad are near. What is that phrase you have in this time period? Boys will be boys." As we see Cosmic Boy and Lightning Lad use their abilities in space to crush the Justice League Watchtower like a soda can, with several heroes inside, as we see the likes of Mr. Terrific, Green Arrow, and the Blue Beetles are crushed. Superman hears this and tries to fly up to the Watchtower as fast as he can, saying, "Terrific, can you hear me? Everyone get out," but it's too late as Superman punches Cosmic Boy saying, "You monster." "Why, Cosmic Boy?" He replies, "This is just the start, you relic. You know how many members the Legion has? We outnumber you and your allies. Even now, while I'm with you, you, Lightning Lad is activating the next stage of our plan to break you. As we see Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl are about to take out Superman's mom, Martha Kent. And on the very next page, Lightning Lad does exactly that, electrocuting her to death. Superman tries to fly back down as fast as he can, but it's too late as he starts beating Lightning Lad to death. But it's at this point Superman realizes it's all in his head, an illusion made by Saturn Girl. Saturn Girl is impressed, saying, "Most people crack right about now. The horror breaks their mental frontal lobe defenses. But not you. You're still pushing against my powers. I'll just have to push harder. I see you had a crush on me once. Cute." Superman says, "Not you," as she's clearly not the girl he once knew. Eventually, as she walks him through several of his memories, she grabs him by the head saying, "Now what to do with you? How about I just lock you away, watching your mother die over and over again? That sounds like fun. Trust me, it's a better fate than what Darkseid has planned for his return." But at this point, Time Trapper aka Doomsday comes flying in, grabbing her by the arm saying, "Back off, child. If you're going to take a walk in someone's mind, you better have someone watch your body in the real world." Time Trapper says, "Quickly, Superman, we only have a moment before that witch recovers and the rest of her friends descend on us. I warned you," as Time Trapper takes Superman into the time stream, with Saturn Girl getting back up saying, "Time Trapper, I will find you and I will kill you." At this point, Darkseid starts talking to Saturn Girl, which apparently is very painful for her, as she starts screaming, with Darkseid saying, "You are not to engage with Superman. You disobeyed me, Saturn Girl. You will return to me. You will gather my legion. There is another that could endanger my plans, one that you must protect," with her saying, "Of course, Darkseid." We're then taken back to Time Trapper and Superman, as Superman says, "We have to go back to Smallville. My mother is still there." Time Trapper responds, "I don't care about your adoptive mother. Her life is meaningless." Superman tells him, "Take me back now." Time Trapper responds, "Don't you get it? What's at stake now is bigger than one life. Saturn Girl was right. Your mother will be better off dead if Darkseid returns. To save her and everyone else, you must first save the future. I cannot go on this journey with you. After we last fought, I returned to the future and found Darkseid's legion waiting for me. They tortured me for information on you. I barely escaped and returned to your watchtower looking for help. My allies stayed there while I went to find you. They need my help, but my goal now is to distract the Legion as you travel ahead." As we see Time Trapper bring Superman to Smallville. Superman says, "Smallville? But not my Smallville. It hasn't looked like this since I was a kid. Where are we?" Time Trapper answers, "Years ago I created a pocket timeline outside the known multiverse. It was perfect for hiding an important part of your story. Someone from a different era that I knew could help us with the challenges ahead. They have experience with the Legion of Superheroes." Superman asks, "What? How?" As someone says, "Sup, old fart, you ready to kill some nerds?" And on the next page, we see it's Superboy Prime, with Superman saying, "Superboy Prime?" The comic then ends with Superboy Prime saying, "Oh yeah, I'm back again, dear readers. You better be here next month to watch me save Superman and the Legion of Superheroes. I smell an event coming." That's right, the all-powerful Superboy Prime is back, and it looks like his return has triggered a massive new story for DC, which inevitably is going to lead to a showdown with this powered-up Darkseid, because again, all of this is leading to the KO event. But just like that, friends, we have Superman issues 25 through 28. We're loving what Josh Williamson is doing with the story thus far, and as of issue 28, Dan Mora is now illustrating the book. That dude is just an absolute beast, so I cannot wait to see where this ultimately goes. The fact that Superboy Prime has returned opens the door for so many things, but what do you guys think about his return, and where do you think it's all leading? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Other than that, we'll see you next time when we talk about all things comics.